Hello, how are you guys doing? This is not my normal location for shooting videos, obviously. Welcome to our announcement video. We are obviously opening a brick and mortar bookstore. We prefer to call it a bookshop. A shout out to all my UK friends. Here in Williamsburg, Virginia, the town where we live, and it's a wonderful place. We love it here. I'm retired US military. We settled in here. This is where we're gonna sit down and stay for a while. Over the last year and a half, I've been seeking a retail space to open a brick and mortar bookstore here. For those that are familiar with Spineless Reads, we've been selling books online for about 2 years. About 6 months in, I started my search because I knew I didn't want to rush it. And I knew that I wanted to be very methodical and make the right decisions for the location, because once you're in, you're in that multi-year lease. That's where you're going to be. That's where you're spending all your days. That's where you're going to put all this work. This is our location. We're at 4640 Casey Boulevard, Suite 130, Williamsburg, Virginia, 23188. I'll put a link down at the bottom, or at least list it in the show notes. But yeah, this is it. We have done it. We signed a lease. We got keys, and I am in the middle of building the shop right now. Now, most people would have made their "we're opening a bookstore" announcement way before they got to this point. I have literally been eating, sleeping, and breathing the build out and have not had a moment to stop and make this video. And I told myself I'm not going another day without doing this. So here we are. This is going to be a kickoff video for a series in a playlist here on YouTube that documents the shop build. I've been taking footage this whole time, so don't worry, you're not missing out on anything fun. Everything including how we're building our bookcases, the way we're renovating the space, which is luckily for us not a tremendous amount of renovation, how we're selecting our inventory, how we made the decision to build our own bookcases, what we're doing to build those bookcases. We're gonna have a pretty extensive and comprehensive documentation of this whole process for you. So I'm very excited. This is the kickoff video for the playlist. We are opening the shop here at 1,160-ish square feet. And I could not be more excited. We're in a pretty high-end retail area that changes the price of your square footage, which I'll talk about in a future video, exactly how we settled on this space, all the different things that you have to consider. And we've got a great mix of clientele here in the Williamsburg area. There were some family decisions that led to opening this shop in the first place and opening it here, and I'll cover those in just a moment. But I want you to know that this is kind of a collaborative effort with me and my wife and kids, although I'm the person that's making my dream, if you will, come true here. You've seen my daughter, Madeline, on a couple of our videos, particularly the ones where we address selling books at conventions. She's my lead bookseller, if you will, outside of myself. And she'll be working here part-time. My wife, Tammy, and I are the ones who are owning the business. So very exciting. My two boys can work here if they want. We'll see if they actually want to. I know Gabriel will. Caleb is already in school to become an electrician. So you may see them in the videos, and this is a family thing. That's one of the reasons I wanted to make this video. I wanted to talk to you about the reason why we decided to do this and a couple of the decisions I made around this. Just because you want a business or you want to build a certain business doesn't necessarily mean you should. And I've been doing business coaching for other people for several years. I always tell my clients, don't just build the business you can have, build the business you want. That you really focus on building the business that works both for you and for your clients, not just for your clients. And this is a bit of a passion project. I am in love with book selling and reading. I have been my whole life. I'm also an author and a publisher. And so this is the closing of the circle here for me in the art of being involved with books. This has been a lifelong thing for me, but as a father and a husband, this is not just about my wants, needs, and desires. I would not have moved forward with this decision, no matter how much I wanted to do it, without making sure it was right for my family. So one of the biggest points of discussion for us was this has to give to my family and not take from my family. I wanted to make sure that this gave my kids something, additional value to their upbringing, their experience with me as a parent. I left the military in 2019 so I could spend more time with my family. I'd already done a career there. I was able to retire from the service, and that gave me a little bit of freedom to do more of what I wanted to do rather than have to do in my career field. And I'm in my mid-40s, so I'm at a point now where if I'm going to do it, I need to do it now. I was also very motivated, because I own my own businesses, to make sure that my kids learned what it's like to work somewhere where you have an investment in the business. Although this is my business and it's our family's effort, I wanted them to have a very strong sense of ownership, of responsibility, and to learn from someone who's done it and is willing to be patient and kind with them. And so here I am, hopefully able to do that for them. The amount of work that goes into opening the shop is very different work in its nature and in its investment than what it takes to operate the shop. And this is the build out. We're in the opening the shop phase, and this is very much heavy on me and on my dad, who has offered his talents to help me build these bookshops. He is amazing with carpentry, and I can't even put in words for you how much my relationship with my father means to me and how fortunate I am to have him as a father, not only because of how cool he is to me and how cool he is with the family, but his talents are amazing. And this is just one more way for us to work together and do something cool together and build some memories together. So all of this to say, I've thought a tremendous amount about how this impacts my family before I decided to move forward with opening the shop. Okay. What we're doing is we're opening an 1,160 square foot fiction forward bookshop. This is mostly focused on fiction. We'll have some nonfiction titles and we'll have some children's books, but this is mostly selling fiction to what you would call trade or adult readers. Everything from YA through adult. And we're talking all the genre fiction, horror, thriller, romance, mystery, and crime, and sci-fi, fantasy. I mean, all of it. Historical fiction, we're going to have a good bit of all of it. As a horror author and publisher and reader, lifelong reader, I'm going to have a good bit of that. And that'll be very finely curated. But we're going to have so much more to offer, because part of the reason we're opening the shop isn't to just be exclusive to the genres that I have the most experience with. I want to provide a shop for the community. And I guess that leads to my other reason for opening this. I have teenage kids. They don't really have somewhere to go where they can have this type of experience, where they can shop around a little bit outside of our local Barnes & Noble. And we love our Barnes & Noble. They have been so good to me as an author and a local reader and a big fan of the people that work there. But we're not them. We're very different from them. We carry a lot of books that they have access to but don't necessarily stock. And we're able to do some things that Barnes & Noble probably doesn't have very high on their list of priorities, including events and carrying certain indie publishing companies, indie publishing houses in greater number than they probably would be at a local Barnes & Noble. And for all very good reasons. That is not a hit on Barnes & Noble. They have access to these books, but that's not really what they are there for, right? They're there to sell to a much bigger market, a much broader market, and they do a very wonderful job of doing that. I had to decide whether we were going to be in competition or not with the Barnes & Noble, which is funny and laughable to me, because if I tried to be exactly what Barnes & Noble is, that would be a really bad business decision for me, considering they're less than a mile away. And yes, you heard that. I am opening a bookstore within a mile of a Barnes & Noble, and there are two other small bookshops, indie bookshops here in the Williamsburg area that I adore. One of them is a very distinctly different model from mine, and I think you should definitely go check them out. If you come to the Williamsburg area and you're in the outlet mall area, go check out Ralph at Turn the Page. He is amazing. I absolutely adore what Ralph does for local authors, and his bookshop has a ton of great deals on used books, new books. It's just a very different feel than what we're going to have. It's excellent that I can recommend Ralph to other people that may not necessarily fit for what we're looking for. And then the other one is called the Fallen Acorn, and it's right downtown in Colonial Williamsburg, where we had initially looked at trying to open our bookshop. And they very much cater to the William and Mary campus and people that are visiting the Colonial Williamsburg shopping district, because you can walk around Merchant Square and their bookshop is right there. So we're a little bit more central to the Williamsburg area and shopping. We've got a Home Goods and a Michael's and a Walmart food center and a cupcake place next door and a chicken salad chick store next door, and then a Noodles and Company and a bunch of other retail behind us, Trader Joe's, some restaurants, and a whole string of other businesses. And so we feel like we're in a really unique spot comparatively to the other two indie bookstores I mentioned, and that we offer something a little different than they do. And so that's cool because we can be a community rather than in competition with each other, which, by the way, I just don't aspire to the whole we're competing against these other businesses mentality. That's not me. That's not how I roll. I'd rather be friends and collaborate and help each other than look at each other as competitors. So let me tell you a little bit about the videos we're going to be making moving forward. So I'm going to be documenting our entire build out, the work I'm doing on the space, the building of the shelves down to exactly how we built the shelves, details on how we're ordering our inventory, exactly what systems we're using. I'm going to probably make a video about choosing a point of sale system. So our main goal here is to be kicked off between September 20th and October 1st. September 20th is my personal goal for opening the shop, and I'm giving myself another 10 days worth of leniency on a grand opening, depending on how things go in the next week. So as of right now, it is September 1st, and I have 19 days to get to the September 20th goal that I have set for myself, and we'll see how it goes. But good news for you is I'm doing a ton of documenting. We're going to put out a ton of videos about exactly how we're doing this. And I really hope you guys will get something out of these videos. I want them to be informative, but also want them to be entertaining, and I want you to get to know us a bit. And hopefully we'll make ourselves a bit of a destination for you. Maybe you'll want to come visit us when you come to Williamsburg, or maybe you'll come visit Williamsburg and we're one of the reasons you do that. And if you're local, we hope that it'll give you a little bit of insight into us and how we're building this business and how much we love being a part of this local community. So there you go. There's the kickoff video. We're opening a brick and mortar bookstore in Williamsburg, Virginia. We're doing a tremendous amount of this ourselves. And I can't wait to share this experience with you guys and have something really fun to look back on in a couple of years when we're well established and we're like, do you remember how crazy it was when we opened a bookshop in a month? So, all right, guys, that's it for this video. And make sure that you guys subscribe to the channel so you can follow along. And make sure you check out, like the video, because we're trying to make this a whole thing on YouTube. And keep an eye on this playlist because you've got more videos coming at you quickly. All right, thanks for joining me. Take it easy.